Margaret. I'm 76 years old, and I need to tell you something that most people don't figure out until it's almost gone. Something that, if you hear it now in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, could change everything about how you spend the years you have left. See, I've lived a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've watched hundreds of people around me make the same ones. And you know what's strange? They're not the mistakes you'd think. Nobody lies on their deathbed wishing they'd worked more hours. Nobody regrets that they didn't climb higher in their career. The regrets, they're always the same, always. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. When I was your age, I thought I understood life. I had plans, I had expectations, I had this clear picture of how things were supposed to go. You work hard, you build something, you earn respect, you reach a certain point where you finally made it. And then, and only then, do you get to live. You get to be happy. You get to focus on the things that actually matter. I believe that with every bone in my body. I was 32 when I made the decision that shaped the next 30 years of my life. My husband, Michael, wanted to move closer to his aging mother. She lived in another state. She needed help, and he wanted to be there for her. It was a good impulse, a kind one, a noble one even. But it meant leaving the job I loved. It meant leaving a promotion that was on the horizon. It meant postponing my own plans, the things I'd been working toward. I remember standing in our kitchen one evening looking at the papers Michael had brought home about the move, and I asked him to wait. Just a few more years, I said, just until I make partner at my firm, just until we've built up our savings a little more, just until the timing is better. He waited. He was always so patient with me. He waited 2 years, and then I said, just a few more. You know how this ends, right? You know that we never moved. We never went to be near his mother the way he wanted to. She passed away 5 years later, and Michael never got to give her those final years of presents. And you know what haunts me? His mother wasn't the only one who needed him. His marriage needed him. His relationship with himself needed him. But I kept saying, just a few more years. His mother's death did something to Michael. It broke something, not in a dramatic way. It was quieter than that. He stopped talking about the things he wanted. He stopped dreaming out loud. He just accepted that life was something that happened to him, not something he got to choose. And I told myself it wasn't my fault. I told myself I was being responsible, that I was building a future for us, that this was love, putting things off for later. But here's what I know now, and I'm 76, so I've had plenty of time to think about this. That's not love. That's fear wearing the mask of responsibility. I was so afraid of what I might lose that I couldn't see what I was losing every single day. The conversations Michael wanted to have, the plans he wanted to make, the simple, ordinary moments where he was trying to tell me who he was and what mattered to him. And I was too busy checking boxes, too focused on the next milestone, too convinced that there would be time for all that later. Later came. Michael retired at 63. We had the resources. We had the security I'd been so desperate to build. And you know what we didn't have? Each other. Not in any meaningful way. We were polite. We were comfortable. We did the things retired couples do. But the person I'd married, the one who dreamed about being near his mother, who wanted to travel, who wanted to finally read all those books he'd been saving, that person had already given up. The urgency was gone, the longing was gone, and I couldn't get it back. He died in his sleep 8 years ago. No warning, no chance to say, I'm sorry, let's do all the things we talked about. Just gone. And I spent the next 3 years reading through old journals and letters, discovering a man I'd lived with but never really seen, a man who'd been asking me to slow down, to choose him, to choose us. And I kept choosing later. Here's the thing that took me decades to understand. We don't regret the things we did. We regret the things we didn't do. We don't regret taking risks. We regret playing it safe. We don't regret the time we spent with people we loved. We regret the time we didn't. And this is what 99% of people ignore after 60. They ignore the quiet, persistent voice telling them that their priorities are wrong. They ignore the person standing next to them asking to be chosen. They ignore the dreams that don't fit into the 5-year plan. They ignore it because ignoring it is easier. It's safer. It doesn't require them to give anything up right now. But you do give something up. You give up the life you could have been living all along. I see this everywhere. I see it in people my age who spent their best years climbing ladders in corporate offices only to discover the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. I see it in marriages where both people are going through the motions, waiting for some magical moment when things will finally shift. I see it in parents who think they're sacrificing for their children when really they're modeling a life of postponement, teaching them that joy is something that happens later. And the saddest part? They think it's still not too late. They think, when I retire, everything will change. When the kids are older, I'll have time. When we have more money, I'll finally do what I want to do. But retirement is just another false deadline. The kids grow up and have their own lives. And suddenly you're in your 70s, alone in a house full of things, wondering where it all went. When did we decide that the present moment wasn't good enough? When did we start believing that real life was something that happened in the future? I think about this constantly now. I had a friend, Eleanor. We met in book club when we were both 58. She was brilliant, funny. She had this incredible energy about her. She'd always wanted to be a painter, but she had a job in accounting. She kept saying she'd paint when she retired, when things calmed down, when she had more energy. She died at 71 before she ever painted a single canvas. At her funeral, her daughter found stacks of sketchbooks in Eleanor's closet, hundreds of sketches, beautiful drawings. She'd been sketching her whole life, just never letting herself make the leap to painting, never giving herself permission to fail at something she cared about. She was so afraid of not being good enough that she made sure she'd never know. I keep one of those sketches on my wall now. It's a drawing of a woman sitting on a beach staring out at the ocean, and Eleanor wrote underneath it, "Someday I'll go, someday I'll create, someday I'll be brave." Someday never came. You want to know what's terrifying? Someday can come this week for you. For many of you watching this, you're in your 30s, 40s, maybe early 50s. You still have time. You still have your parents, hopefully. You still have energy. You still have the health to move your body, to travel, to do the things that scare you. And you're still postponing. You're still telling yourself the lie I believed for 40 years. Here's what I learned in the last decade, and I need you to understand this. The person you love most in the world isn't waiting for you to succeed. They're not waiting for you to finally make the money. They're not waiting for you to get promoted or lose weight or figure everything out. They're waiting for you to show up right now, as you are. My grandchildren have never asked me about my career, never asked me about the partnership I made at my firm, never asked me about the nice house we owned or the vacations we took. They ask about the time. They remember the weekend I took my grandson to the lake when I was supposed to be working. They remember the day I called my sister after not talking for 3 months and we talked for 6 hours. They remember when I finally slowed down enough to really listen. Those are the things that stick. Those are the things that matter. I'm not saying quit your job. I'm not saying abandon all responsibility. What I'm saying is this: stop treating your life like a practice run. Stop postponing the present moment for a future that might never come the way you imagine it. Stop believing that happiness is something you earn after you've checked enough boxes. The people who matter most to you are mortal. They have expiration dates, whether you want to accept that or not. Your parents won't be here forever. Your spouse won't. Your children will grow up and away. Your friends will get sick or move or drift. And one day you'll wake up and realize that the window has closed, the moment has passed, and you can't go back. I wish someone had told me this when I was 35. I wish someone had looked me in the eye and said, "Margaret, your husband is trying to tell you something. Your mother is trying to tell you something. Your own heart is trying to tell you something. And if you keep ignoring it, you're going to spend the last chapter of your life grieving the first chapter you didn't get to live." I couldn't hear it then. I was too convinced that I was doing the right thing. That responsibility meant saying no. That love meant sacrifice. That the good life was on the other side of all this struggling. But the good life, it's right now. It's in the conversation you're avoiding. It's in the trip you keep telling yourself is impractical. It's in the vulnerable moment when someone asks you to choose them and you actually do. Not reluctantly, not as a consolation prize for having failed at your ambitions, but because they matter more than any ambition ever will. I have a ritual now. Every morning I wake up and I ask myself one question. If today was my last day, would I spend it the way I'm planning to spend it? And about 70% of the time, the answer is no. About 70% of the time, I have to change my plans. I skip the obligation. I call the person I've been meaning to reach out to. I do the thing I've been putting off. I choose now instead of later. It sounds simple. It sounds like something you should have figured out by the time you're 40. But I promise you, 99% of people don't. 99% of people get to their 60s and realize they've been living like they had all the time in the world, like there were infinite do-overs, like they could put things off indefinitely. And then the clock runs out. So, this is my message to you, wherever you are in your life right now. You are not promised tomorrow. The person you love is not promised tomorrow. The dream you keep postponing, it might not even be yours anymore by the time you get to it. You change, people change, the world changes. The only moment you have any control over is this one, right now. Don't wait for the perfect job. Don't wait for more money. Don't wait for the kids to be older or your parents to be less demanding or your life to be less messy. Because life is always going to be messy. There will always be a reason to wait. There will always be a crisis that requires your attention. There will always be one more thing to achieve before you're allowed to live. But what if you just stopped waiting? What if you picked up the phone and called the person you miss? What if you said yes to the trip you've been planning for 10 years? What if you left the job that's killing your soul, even if you don't have another one lined up? What if you finally admitted the thing you've been afraid to say? I know it sounds reckless. I know it sounds irresponsible, and by the standards of the world I lived in for so long, it is. But I'll tell you what's really reckless. Betting your entire life on the promise of later. Betting on a future that might never come. Betting on the assumption that the people you love will wait for you to figure it out. They won't. And when you finally realize that, it's too late. I'm 76 years old. I have maybe 10 years left if I'm lucky. Maybe less, and I'm finally living the life I always wanted, not because I've achieved more, not because I've accomplished my goals, but because I've finally stopped waiting for the permission to start. You don't need permission. You already have everything you need to begin. You have this moment. You have the person in front of you. You have the dream inside your chest. You have the capacity to choose differently starting right now. So my question for you is simple. What are you waiting for? What are you postponing? What would change if you decided that today is not the day to wait anymore? That right now, in this moment, you're going to choose the life you actually want instead of the life you think you're supposed to have. I can't go back and redo my 40s. I can't recover the years with Michael when we could have been choosing each other instead of choosing later, but you can. You still have time. Don't be like 99% of people who ignore this wisdom until it's too late. Don't wait until you're in your 60s, looking back on a life that happened to you instead of one you chose. Choose now. Choose the people. Choose the moments. Choose the life that's calling to you, because I promise you it's the only life that will ever truly satisfy you. The rest, it's just waiting. And you've already wasted enough time doing that.